Can a law that only touches the lowest paid workers move the wage gap near the top?
Instinct says no. The minimum wage is the floor. The college premium is up on a higher floor entirely.
Instinct, according to a new study, is wrong, but only if you're patient enough to wait several years to see it. Here, on the Cause and Effect Show. So here's the puzzle. We spend a lot of time arguing about whether college is worth it. The wage gap between people with a degree and people without one. Economists call that the college premium.
Right, the classic story is supply and demand. More tech that needs skilled workers pushes the premium up, more college graduates pushes it back down. A race between education and technology.
Exactly. That's a textbook model. It's literally called the canonical model. And for decades, it's been the lens for explaining why the gap between college and non-college pay exploded in the 1980s.
And this paper says that lens is missing something.
It says it's missing one variable that almost nobody put in the equation, the minimum wage.
Wait, the minimum wage affects the college premium? Most college grads earn way more than minimum wage. How would a floor at the bottom move a gap near the top?
That's the exact question the author, Jonathan Vogel at UCLA, set out to answer. And the trick is timing. He shows the effect is tiny the day a minimum wage goes up, and then it grows for years.
Put that in plain English for me. Why would it grow?
Think of jobs as a ladder. You enter at the bottom rung, the minimum wage, and over time you switch employers, get bargaining power, climb to higher rungs.
Okay, so the minimum wage is the height of the first rung.
Right, now raise that first rung. On day one, only the people standing on it get a bump. Everyone above is untouched. That's what economists call the direct effect.
But the people on that raised first rung are now starting their climb from higher up.
And that's the whole paper in one sentence. They climb from a higher floor, so a year later they're on a higher second rung, then a higher third rung. The raise ripples upward through the wage ladder over time.
So the bump spills over. The low end pulls up the lower middle, which narrows the distance to the college folks.
That spillover is the indirect effect, and it's slow. Here's where it gets interesting. In the first year, the direct effect explains something like 80 to 90% of the change.
So early on, it really is just the bottom rung moving.
But stretch the window to 9 years and it flips. Now only about 35% is that direct bump. The other 65% is spillover up the ladder.
That's a genuine reversal. The thing that's trivial on impact becomes the main story over a decade.
And it reframes the 1980s. The real minimum wage fell about 27% between 1979 and 1989. Inflation just ate it away while the dollar amount sat still.
And when the floor sinks, the spillover runs in reverse. The bottom rungs drop, the gap to college widens.
Vogel estimates that falling minimum wage accounts for roughly a third of the rise in the college premium that decade. A third, from a variable the standard story basically ignored.
And I'm guessing the usual explanation gave all that credit to technology.
That's the kicker. The old model had to assume technology suddenly stopped favoring skilled workers in the 1990s to fit the data. Once you add the minimum wage back in, that awkward assumption mostly disappears.
So technology didn't mysteriously slow down. We were just leaving a piece out of the equation.
He checks it two ways, across the whole country over 50 years and state by state, since states set different minimum wages. Same pattern both times. Small on impact, big over time, growing by roughly a factor of 3.
Now I want to be careful here because minimum wage debates get heated. Is he saying raise it or don't?
No, and he's explicit about that. He's not measuring jobs lost or whether anyone's better off overall. He's not running a welfare scorecard.
So this isn't minimum wage good or minimum wage bad.
It's narrower and honestly more useful. It's saying, if you want to understand inequality between college and non-college workers, the minimum wage belongs in the picture, and its effects show up on a delay of years, not days.
What stays with me is the time lag. We judge a policy by what happens the year after, but the real action here unfolds over a decade.
And that's the tension. A change that looks small and harmless on impact can quietly reshape the wage ladder long after the news cycle has moved on, in either direction.
Which means the honest answer to what did the minimum wage do depends entirely on when you ask.
If this is the kind of slow burn cause and effect you like to sit with, that's the whole reason this channel exists.
We pull one careful study apart every episode, so subscribe and we'll see you at the next one. It changes how I'll read the next minimum wage headline. I'll be asking what it does in 2035, not just next year.
And that lag is a pattern that shows up everywhere once you start looking. We've got a study lined up next that plays the same trick with a completely different policy.
So subscribe and stick around.